Don't half-ass your life. Meaning really comes from facing yourself, being strict with yourself, maybe, being a parent to yourself as well. And when you face yourself, you're forced to face your values, and you're forced to see where you fall short right now, where you don't live up to the version that you would like to be. And this is extremely hard because there's two routes to take here. Either you choose to give up the meaning and drown in the distraction again, drown in the numbness again, or you choose up to pick up responsibility. You choose to change. You choose to change your life. But this is connected with so much effort, right? Well, the price you pay is the effort, but what you will get is meaning. And this is what you're looking for, right? We as humans, we're creatures who constantly search for meaning. We want to have a life's purpose. We want to have a reason to get up every single day. And sometimes you get into a place where you don't feel that meaning anymore. And it feels like falling. It's a falling sensation because this fundament, this pillar that you can always orient yourself on, has fallen away, has gone. It can be different for different people. Some people are naturally less driven, they have less of a passion, less of a will to accomplish things. And for some of us, something happens, something major in our life happens that makes us feel like the purpose that we once used to have is just not as meaningful anymore. The purpose has fallen away. Say you've lost a loved one, and a huge part of your identity and a huge part of your meaning was to make this person feel well and to want the best for this person, and the person is gone. Of course, this is going to shake your fundament. If you're born with depression, you're naturally more prone to question life's meaning and the meaning of your decisions, the meaning of your day-to-day life. No matter how you reach this point, it doesn't really make that much of a difference when it comes to standing there without a fundament, looking into the abyss. Because this is essentially what you're doing when you're lacking a sense of meaning. It's really, you're confronted with yourself, being alone in the world, having nothing to work towards, having nothing to aim for. And this can feel debilitating. We need meaning because this makes life worthwhile. It's a question that transcends culture and it transcends time and circumstance. This is also why people cling to religion so much. God gives us meaning if we believe in Him. And this has been a pattern that humans have showed since the beginning of existence. So the search for purpose and for meaning is one that we have basically been on since the beginning of consciousness. And yet many of us still find ourselves lost in chaos and noise and looking into the abyss regularly. Why is it this way? I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that right now in our modern society, we are bombarded by distractions. We are constantly on our phones, we're constantly comparing ourselves, and those are not downwards comparisons, those are upward comparisons. We're seeing an idealized version of our life, we're seeing who we're supposed to be constantly, and realizing that we're failing to live up to that. And this can make it seem like your purpose is not your purpose because somebody else is living it already much better than you could ever do. And this is, of course, horribly wrong. Your journey, your purpose is your own purpose, and it's irrespective of other people. This is what you first have to realize, that your purpose is individual to you, and it cannot be measured with objective measures. You reaching your purpose has nothing to do with anyone else. It's your journey. So don't look left and right when it comes to that journey. Say you want to become an artist and you see all these successful artists um, producing their music, putting out music, being much more successful than you. Of course, this makes you insecure, but it shouldn't change anything about the fact that your purpose is being an artist. We can all, we can have similar purposes simultaneously. not endangering each other's purpose. It does not, other people having a similar purpose or a similar dream than that you have, does not change anything about the fact that you deserve to live your purpose and to live your life. Why is this purpose so important? Basically, we're always confronted with suffering in our day-to-day lives. So life can be cruel and life can be unforeseeable. Tragedies happen all the time. People die. Things go wrong. Jobs end. Relationships end. This is something that is constantly happening. And meaning is what basically determines how you're going to respond to such losses. The stronger your meaning, the stronger your purpose, the less you can be shaken by life's suffering that is going to come either way. So even if you have sort of a purpose right now, if you haven't lost it completely, you should always aim to strengthen that purpose, because this is what shields you against traumatic events. Of course, it doesn't shield you completely. It doesn't turn you into a stone cold person who's only focused on their purpose, but it helps you to not completely drown and fall into the abyss once bad things start happening, because they are. Life sometimes deals us a very bad hand, and we are gonna have to build some kind of shield to work against that. What many people don't want to realize, and what I think is the tricky thing in our society right now, is that meaning does not come from escaping pain. It comes from confronting pain. We have so many numbing agents nowadays. As I said, we are constantly distracted, constantly on our phones. This is causing us suffering, but we don't really realize that. It's easy to not take responsibility. It's easy to not confront yourself with yourself, to not wonder who you are as a person. But meaning is only to be found if you actually focus on yourself, and if you actually dare to look in the mirror for once and actually see yourself. We can go months, years, decades even, without facing ourselves. Some people live in a fog like state their entire life, and then they wonder why they're depressed. Because true meaning only arises when you focus on yourself, when you see yourself, when you go into the abyss, when you look at who and what has made me the way I am. How can I change it? This is when you experience meaning. So, the precursor, the condition for meaning, is taking responsibility and committing to facing yourself. This is how you're going to find meaning again in your life, is by taking responsibility. It's as easy as that. It sounds easy, of course. It's not. If you have suffered a loss, if you something traumatic happened to you and you find yourself without meaning, you feel agitated. You feel like everything is too heavy to lift. If you're stuck in a very depressive phase, you feel like even getting up, brushing your teeth, having a shower is endlessly hard. I know. But the cruel paradox, is that doing those exact things, getting up, taking responsibility, lifting more than you can manage, or more than you think that you can manage in the moment, is actually going to help you. A lot of the times people think that they're going to find their purpose by just waking up one day and knowing what it is. No. A lot of the times life is trial and error, and trying something and then finding meaning in that is usually how this goes. So when you're feeling stuck right now, when you're laying in bed right now, when you're sad right now, you should get up and try. Try this new job. Try interacting with this person. Start with something small, and you are going to find something. Build yourself a structure, a nest that you can get into, a nest of responsibility, a network of people that are somehow relying on you for something. This is how you find responsibility. This is how you find purpose. Also, asking yourself the question, In which areas of life do I feel the most alive? I said that being numb is like a symptom of our society right now. We don't really feel alive. We need to go to the extremes to feel alive. Like the dopamine release we need in order to feel something is insane. We need to scroll through TikTok, then simultaneously vape, and then whatever, go clubbing that night to say, okay, I've had a good day. We have gotten used to such a high baseline level of pleasure that it's hard to differentiate what truly brings us joy anymore. But there are some parts in your life that bring you more joy than others, and you need to become sensitive to that, because where your enjoyment is, where you feel like no time is passing although you spend hours doing that thing, this is where your purpose lies. It's called the flow state, when you just lose your perception of yourself because you're so engaged in the task you're performing. This is where your purpose lies. It's when you don't feel this heavy weight of existing anymore because you're so engaged in what you're doing. Don't half-ass your life. Meaning really comes from facing yourself, being strict with yourself, maybe, being a parent to yourself as well. And when you face yourself, you're forced to face your values, and you're forced to see where you fall short right now, where you don't live up to the version that you would like to be. And this is extremely hard because there's two routes to take here. Either you choose to give up the meaning and drown in the distraction again, drown in the numbness again, or you choose to pick up responsibility. You choose to change. You choose to change your life. But this is connected with so much effort, right? Well, the price you pay is the effort, but what you will get is meaning. And this is what you're looking for, right? So you need to establish boundaries. You need to set your values and then adjust your life accordingly. This is how you find meaning in your life. Face yourself. What am I doing wrong? There's at least 5 things you can name. We are not the best versions of ourselves. And I'm not saying this in like a how successful are you in the world kind of way. No, I'm saying this, I'm coming from a perspective where you should measure yourself on your own scale. You have an idea of who you could be, okay? And you have to compare yourself with that version. Every area of your life. I recommend you get a journal like this and really write in that journal, write out who you want to be like, how that person behaves in every area of life. I like to draw like sort of diagrams to kind of visualize that. And then think about where you fall short and work on reducing that gap. Take on that responsibility of changing towards becoming a better version of you. This is where you find meaning again. You need to get into a dialogue with yourself. We sometimes, because we're numbing ourselves so much, we never really have to engage with ourselves. We never have to hear our own thoughts. And we think that we're protecting ourselves from the deep, dark thoughts that we have and this emptiness that we feel inside. But no, we're actually escaping from the truth. There's not just the darkness and the sadness and all these negative experiences that you're always trying to, push to the bottom, drown them in alcohol, distractions, whatever. No, there's also truth. And you have to choose to look in there and go through that pile of shit and find what you're passionate about. Find what your values are. Find who you truly are beneath all of that. There is still a version of you, but you need to get into contact with that version. It's difficult to choose to put off your headphones and be with your thoughts, because usually if we bottle things up, they come splashing out once we pull the plug, sort of. And we're scared of that. But you'll need to learn how to navigate these negative thoughts and find yourself in between them. So, in order to find meaning again, you need to face yourself. reevaluate who you are and who you want to become, and then actively work towards that version of yourself. In the end, meaning and purpose are not things that you find, they are things that you build. And this is what society is not teaching us enough. Through your actions, through your choices, and through your commitment to your goals, you become the architect of your own life, your own destiny. And that is the true reason we're here, I think. So start now. Take responsibility by facing yourself and telling yourself what is wrong right now in your life. Be brutally honest with yourself. So, yeah, I hope you guys could take something from this video, and I see you guys in the next video. Bye.